Okay, Dean Smith, we can get started whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. We're pleased to have you join us for a conversation about peace in the Middle East. Some of you may recall that we had an event like this in the fall semester, toward the end of the fall semester, and our intention all along has been to have a second follow-up conversation about this topic. And we're very pleased that the Israeli Consul for Public Diplomacy, Adva Vilchinski, is going to help guide us through this topic. And what I just like to begin with just a welcome remark to thank all of you for attending, and to really thank Sarah Vasquez. She is a senior in the School of Diplomacy. She's going to be moderating this event. But I want to highlight something that she's an example of in the school, and that's the fact that this event would not have been possible without Sarah's connections. And I just think that's wonderful. So we really need to thank Sarah. Not only is she helping us guide us through the conversation, but we're only having the conversation because of one of our students. And I just think that's part of the ethos of the School of Diplomacy. So kudos to Sarah and her fellow students that take initiatives such as this. But this isn't the only initiative that Sarah is taking on campus. Not only is she a senior in diplomacy, she's one of our student ambassadors. She's part of the Multicultural Advisory Council, the Women in Diplomacy Leadership Program, and the Minority Pre-Law Organization, which makes sense because their interests are to go to law school in the future to do something related to immigration and human rights. So Sarah, thank you for making this possible. Thank you, Ms. Vilchinski, for joining us, and thank you all for engaging in the conversation. I must apologize that there's a university event that starts at 1 that I will need to leave for just a minute before 1, so I may miss the very end of the question and answer session. But I look forward to being here alongside all of you until that very moment. So thank you all, and I'll turn it over to Sarah now.
Thank you so much, Dean, for the warm introduction. I'm honored to be here and asked to moderate our event today. I'm very thankful to everyone for being here, specifically to Sophia and to our consul, Ms. Adva Vilchinski. Our event today will consist of a presentation by the consul, and then we will open the space for questions at the second portion of the event. So feel free to raise your hand and I will call on you and you can ask the questions verbally, or you can also post the questions in the chat. As we move forward, please be sure to keep the chat a respectful space as we move throughout the event. And of course, we will try to get to as many questions as we can in the time that is allotted for this event. I'd like to give a special thank you to our sponsors, our Hillel chapter here at Seton Hall, the Hillel of the Greater Metro West, stand with us, and of course the Consulate General of Israel in New York. And I'd actually like to give the word to Sophia for a brief few minutes that she'd like to speak about what the consulate does.
Thank you so much, Sarah, and thank you, as it was already stated, for putting this together, for reaching out to try to have these discussions on campus in a meaningful and nuanced way. I just wanted to briefly speak before Adva presents about what we do at the consulate. I direct academic affairs, and we love to have these types of discussions and dialogues on campus. In addition to that, we have, in the digital age of COVID, many different webinars, one coming up next week, for example, about women pioneers in COVID. We have many about peace developments in the Middle East. And so I just wanted to give a very brief introduction, and I'll put my email in the chat if anyone has any questions about Israel, about eventually going there, about ways to learn more about its academics and culture and different NGOs, and for more opportunities in the future to have continuing dialogues such as these. So we also have a group chat and a lot of opportunities for students to get involved and to learn more about what the consulate's doing. So if you're interested in that, please also message me so I could add you to our listservs and to our newsletter to learn more about all the other opportunities going on at the consulate. So thank you so much, and I'm going to let Adva present now.
If I could just read Ms. Vilchinski's biography, I think it's very impressive, and we'd all like to have a little bit of background on the work that she's done. As Consul for Public Diplomacy, Adva Vilchinski is responsible for engagement with civil society institutions and leaders all across the 5 states that the consulate covers, which are New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Delaware. Appointed in the summer of 2019, Consul Vilchinski went to the consulate directly from India, where she had served in her previous role as political advisor at their embassy in New Delhi. Prior to joining the Foreign Ministry in 2015, Consul Vilchinski had a distinguished early career in academics and foreign aid, most recently serving as country director in Philippines for Israel's aid organ, Israel Aid, notably leading the organization's activities in the country following Super Typhoon Yolanda. While obtaining her MA in political science and government from Israel's Ben Gurion University, Consul Vilchinski served for several years as a teaching assistant there. Consul Vilchinski's other extracurricular activities have included instructing at the AIDS Task Force in Israel, the Israel Museum's Rabin Center, and the Negev Rape Crisis Center. Consul Vilchinski lives now in Manhattan with her husband and baby girl. Consul Adva Vilchinski, thank you for being here. I invite you now to take the floor.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Thank you. Thank you for everyone who was part of it and listening. I know, first of all, I want to say that I admire you. I admire students during this hard time of the pandemic. I think it's so hard, and you're already getting through it more than a year. I remember my student life, so I could just imagine how much it's challenging to get everything or mostly on Zoom, and it's tiring. So I appreciate it that you chose to be here with me today. I'll try to do it as interactive as I can. Please feel free to ask questions. And again, considering the time, Sarah, I do want them to ask questions. So if you see that I'm getting too long, I'm an Israeli. I'm used to being like rude usually. So you could just say, hey, Adva, maybe we should cut in 5-10 minutes and have more time for questions. Please feel free. And I will try to do some sharing and videos and stuff. So allow a bit, be patient with technology and switching from this screen to the other. So I was requested to speak today about the Abraham Accords, and you cannot speak about it without having a huge smile. It's really hard for me to pass through the feeling what each and every Israeli feels these days. Imagine yourself living in a country that you were not allowed to go somewhere. It's not only by law that you're not allowed, it's already penetrating your mind. So it's not that you know, like, there are places that for us in the past were not even on our minds because we were educated and you know, we were taught that, you know, we cannot go there. And then one day in September last year, boom, something has changed. Of course, it did not happen in a boom, and we will discuss that. But and I'm sure that my friends and colleagues in the UAE has the same feelings. But imagine how is it the feeling of, you know, Israeli citizens that most of them never could even imagine landing on that soil. Then not only now landing on the soil and going there is possible, but it's much beyond that. So it's a really change in the paradigm. It's a new Middle East. It's something that started and it's not ending yet. It's still rolling, and the ripple and the circles of peace and the fruits of peace are only at its beginning. And what is, I think, beneficial not only for Israel, but for the region in a whole, that it stresses the discourse of the people who are moderate, the moderate people who want to live their life in peace, they want to prosper, they want to travel if Corona will allow us. And that's really a change in paradigm, and it's changing Israel and it's changing the Middle East. If we'll speak about the agreement, so we have few agreements. I will discuss some of them, but I think the flagship, of course, is the first one, the historic one between Israel and the UAE. I would also say that this is the most fastest growing agreement. There is already 9 memorandum of understandings or MOUs that were signed between the two governments. But it's important also to understand the history. This peace did not started in September. It not started in a day. It's starting for a long time of people who tried to speak with each other, and I'm speaking not on governments specifically, but on people-to-people activity. I'm speaking about businessmen and women who went to trade in places that for us were impossible, and they had to do it like in under the table, I would say. Another component that helped building this piece, and I'm very proud of it, is part of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs digital diplomacy efforts that actually for years already are nurturing our platforms, Twitter, Facebook, in different language, not only Hebrew and English, but we have an amazing Twitter account in Arabic, Israel in Arabic, and there we had and still are able to bridge beyond governments, beyond what you see in the TV, and speak with the people. And that's not the topic today, but it might surprise you that we also have this Twitter account in Persian to speak with the people of Iran, because we had a very good connections with the people of Iran before, and we still want to maintain the good connections with the people of Iran now. And while we have some obstacles, social media bring us amazing opportunities. I'll go back to the UAE and the agreements. So as I said, we have already 9 agreements that were signed, different topics from industry and agriculture and technology. And we have, of course, many Israelis now going to Expo Dubai. So we speak about tourism as well. And you could say that the sky is the limit between Israel and the UAE, and when you're speaking about peace. But here, it's beyond sky. We also have an agreement between Israel and the UAE on partnership and project for civic space programs. So that's quite exciting. And I can tell you that there are already something around 20 MOUs, Memorandum of Understanding, that are in the process of signing, which is, of course, it's amazing. It's I did few MOUs when I was in India. MOUs takes a lot of time, and the fact that it's growing so fast with 2 countries that never had any formal cooperation before, it means a lot. It means how much the people care. And I will just for a second try, you could speak about peace, but it's hard to feel peace. So I'm trying with few videos here to show you some peace. So just a second, I will share my screen. Wait. Sorry, let's see if that's the one. Yeah, I did it. Let me know if you do not see it or something. Yeah, now you're with me, and just I will show you another one just to imagine the feeling, the excitement between the two countries. So just 1 second. I'll do it like that. I think you could see it now. Just 1 second. This one you just wait.
Let me start by saying how excited I am to have you all here in Tel Aviv. I've dreamed about this day, not only as a foreign minister of the State of Israel, but also as I served for many years as the military chief of staff of the Israeli Defense Forces. We know the alternative, and that's why we seek it. This is a new reality in the Middle East. This reality fosters great potential for our two countries and other nations that will follow. This is an important and significant step in the long shared journey to change the Middle East from a region of conflict to a region of hope.
عزيزي هذا ليس سرا الشعب الإسرائيلي متحمس جدا جدا لهذا السلام بين الإمارات وعائلة البيضاء ومملكة البحرين.
Mr. Adi Blasberger is the head of the space agency. It's an observation satellite, a scientific satellite, working, operational, very successful. This is a telescope of an observation satellite. It requires images of Earth. And eventually, in the beginning of 2019, we were able to launch this spacecraft and take it all the way to the moon.
2 years ago, we were chosen to be the face of the new revolution. The youth sending their own fingerprints to space, along with other 7 groups. We've come to the phase where we are going to launch a satellite at the end of the year in December.
I hope you come to the UAE and you meet your counterparts.
Currently on the ISS being tested by astronauts. The best was developed in collaboration with NASA, with rockets, DLR.
Okay, just allow me a second. Stop sharing. Okay, I think you're with me now. Great. So that's again, you know, I said in some words what a movie could maybe pass some of the feeling of what's going on now between Israel and the UAE. And it's not only about what I said. It's not only about government to government a lot of institutions are doing cooperation, and even in the finance sector and banking, there is a lot of cooperation. As you know, a lot of trade is growing now between the two countries. So to see how we enforce money laundering, and that's amazing. Also, there is a lot of cooperation with policing. There is a partnership between the Israeli police and the UAE police, bringing a permanent representative of Israel in the UAE to learn about the situation there, and the expectation that we have also a representative from their police in Israel.
Consul, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but we actually cannot see you.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's just because of the shared screen.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you,
Perfect.
thank you. I'm sorry. You didn't miss anything. It was still me here speaking. So I was speaking about the amazing cooperation we also have now in the police sector. And again, for people who do not live in the region, who do not, been part of, Israeli or maybe Jewish grand community, which is connected to Israel every day, cannot understand the excitement. And I'm sorry, that's already the third or fourth or 10th time that I say it, but it really is. Imagine, we're speaking about, now having businesses together. Imagine you're a businessman or woman that wanted to trade before in the UAE. Most cases you couldn't do it because there were boycott laws. You were not able to officially trade with the UAE or study in the UAE or anything with the UAE because of the boycott law, boycotting Israel and anything to do with Israel. Understand that now with this peace agreement, the law change, and of course every institution is slowly changing its regulation, and the UAE is promising to ensure that any part of this former legislation, I'm sorry, would be in any governmental, non-governmental office, institution, organization. So now our people, and again, I'm speaking about trade and has a lot to do with those MOUs, and it's a milestone at the agreements. That if before you were selling, I don't know, aluminium to the UAE, you couldn't say it was made in Israel, and you had to do it under the table. Now we could label it and be proud of having working together and doing it with no secrets. Also, there is a lot of things that are going on in the telecommunication partnership. Actually, our head of communication ministry met virtually his counterparts, and they're working, as I told you, there's a lot of more MOUs which are fastly growing about I forgot the word, but I'll recall in a second, and 5G and regulation and roaming on cellular sector, and open the market. So it's really in so many sectors. Also, if we speak about health, it's not only with this ministry office or that office. Also, private or semi-private hospitals in Israel. Let's say there is a hospital, Shiva, Tel HaShomer, that signed an agreement with the Women and Children Hospital in Dubai, that they will exchange knowledge related to women health, surgeries, and more. And I think one of the things that could stress and demonstrate how much this peace means to us in Israel First of all, you know, if you had to guess, and it's still the truth, but who's the best, you know, ally of Israel in the world and the best friends? So of course, it's our friend in the US. But would you imagine how difficult it is to get a mutual waiver from visa? And we have that with the UAE. We have a mutual waiver between Israel and the UAE. People could go travel both ways, not needing visa. And I would stress that even more, that now, even during, you know, the pandemic, and still that's a different topic, and that's another 2 hours lecture. But I assume that some of you, if not all of you, because it was well covered in the American media as well, and the world media, about the excellent vaccination operation of Israel. You know, it's a role model not only for its success domestically, but also we export the data for other countries to learn. But even though that in Israel, you know, more than half of the population already have 2 doses of the vaccine, even with that, Israel is very concerned on who will get in, and to maintain that, you know, we'll not have another wave. And with all of that, the first discussions to having, we call it a green corridor, like that, to have citizens from other countries to come and visit Israel, not needing quarantine, and to recognize the other countries' vaccination. It's Israel and the UAE. There is a high-level discussions now. It's still not final, but it's going on to try and get mutual understanding to accept each other green passports. And as I told you, it's not only on government and those decisions. It has a lot to do with people and how people react. And you know, I think one of the things that we all very basically connect to, it's the ABC of our life, is food. So just last week, the first Israeli kosher restaurant opened up in the UAE, which is, again, for us, it's very exciting. And just to get you another feeling of that excitement, and if I want to move to speak a little bit about more of people to people and not government to government, I'll show you a few brief, very short videos. So I'm sorry, and if after you will not see me, please let me know. Just 1 second. Okay, so first of all, I want to show you how Israel looked like on the day of the Abraham Accords. How the streets of Jerusalem look like. Again, that was not government. This is super cute, right? This is amazing. This is important. And it reflects to the people of those countries that support Israel. And I know that you see still the screen. I will move to another video in a second. The support that the people of Israel have, and it's literally the streets of Israel, and not just the streets. For those who do not know, do not recognize, this is Jerusalem. This is the walls of Jerusalem, very symbolic. And I will tell you, I'll go back to myself for a second, and then I will go to a different video. I'll tell you I did it. I'll tell you a joke. Don't quote me on that. That's really a joke. But I told you before, it's so unimaginable, this piece. You know, that friends of mine had conversation with me that, but wait, where is Bahrain? Like, we never, you know, people know you, Israeli know Europe very well, could point to small countries in Europe and in the US, of course. But then, wait, but Bahrain and the UAE, where is it? We never, you know, studied this area beyond so-called conflict. And now, wait, the flags, we need to, like, there is a world, really a world that open up for us and of course for them. And I want to show you again some of the excitement also in the UAE side. And again, it's really a lot. There's a lot with the people to people that are building and putting their impact on the piece. Wait, I have a question. No, we can see that was before. Okay. Got it. Just 1 second. So take a look at that. Hava Nagila, okay, it's a very, for those who do not know, it's a very Israel Jewish traditional song, and it is played in a conference in the UAE with performance from the UAE. So just to show you for a second. Okay, you got that. And another one that I want to show you, really, and that's our Twitter account, and you're most welcome to follow Israel in New York and get more updates. But those beautiful moments that the Israel Diamond Exchange representative came to the office in the UAE and was blessed with the mezuzah, and you know, it's beyond words. Those wait, let's see.
ان شاء الله بهالباب تجيب الصحه والعافيه واخبار حلوه prosperity and success ان شاء الله. البيت هيدي يحفظه الله الشغلات المهمه بس شغلات منها. Thank you so much. Thank you for what you everything. It's an honor for us. It's more than an honor. Pleasure and honor for me to be able to place this office, Israel Diamond Exchange. Inshallah, will be a lot of success, prosperity, joy, happiness, and health, plenty of friendship between the nations. Thank you. Thank you so much.
So again, I know I'm very emotional about it. Wait, I don't want to share anymore. Okay. You see me. I know I'm very emotional about that, and I keep saying that, but it really means something. It means something. And by the way, like you saw there, you know, some Jewish identity. There is a lot of Jewish community there that, you know, there is ease of life now, and it's It's really, really, really good. I think I didn't mention before when we spoke about the tourism and the flights, and I had a video, but I think we'll do some break from the videos that showed. It was a video, a promotional that the UAE government did on the first flight that landed from Israel in the UAE, and this is again exciting. I can share with you. I was in a panel on Tuesday, with my colleagues from the UAE and with also one of the American diplomats, which of course, and we can discuss that later, the USA had a major role and was a game changer in this peace plan. And it was not me that said that, and it was not my friends from the UAE said that. It's the US diplomat who know and understand the region. And he said, it was unbelievable. He's serving in Israel, in Tel Aviv, and he's in Tel Aviv, not in Jerusalem. He took a flight back home to the US, but then like suddenly he saw, something we never saw in the airport, like signs. Okay, the flight to Dubai goes on. And again, for us, it was a boundary. And imagine that in one day, for the citizens of Israel, this boundary is not an obstacle anymore, and just the opposite. We have now not more, and not now. We had, with quarantine and COVID-19, there are restrictions on Israel airport, but they will be lifted hopefully, and things will go back to the new normal relating the peace and the area. We have, on normal times of peace and less COVID-19, 40 flights a week, which means approximately 5 flights a day from Israel to Dubai and vice versa. There are more than 130,000 Israelis that visited Dubai and the UAE since the first flight, which was late December. Calculate it yourself and imagine that part of it is during the pandemic and people were not so keen to travel. That's amazing. By the way, one of the time, and that's again another joke, in the peak of the pandemic and when the gates to the UAE were open, and people are speaking about quarantine in Israel and the hard life. I saw from my Facebook that Israelis are not in Israelis. They're in Dubai. All of my friends, all of my Facebook, with pictures I never saw in my feed. No, not from Israelis, at least. And by the way, the sky, as we said, it's not the limit. We're going to have even more flights. So currently there are 5 carriers who are doing the flights, and Etihad, the formal and official governmental UAE carrier, is going to have hopefully soon additional 2 flights a day. Yeah. So that's quite happy and good for us and for the people. We are, of course, the people of Israel is expecting their friends. They're curious to see and to meet the people of the UAE. Unfortunately, because of the restrictions now in Israel, they were not really able to travel, very minimally, formal delegations. But people in Israel are keen to meet them. And, I assume some of you know Israel and some of you know more or less, but, we say that you have one Israeli, like you never get a consensus on anything. This is a consensus. You cannot right, left, no matter gender, religion, everybody's waiting to meet them. Everybody's excited. Everybody's happy. So that's about that. More cooperations, I could tell you, if we're speaking with you and students, let's speak about higher education. Would you imagine that now, like, universities from the UAE are declaring new positions? Come and teach Hebrew. And the Educational Hebrew Institute, which is an Emirati institute for Hebrew, saying that they need to have much more teachers because the local people in the UAE are so interested now to learn Hebrew because of the Abraham Accords. And again, there are already conferences together and MOUs between universities, and of course the Israeli students want to learn in Dubai and in the UAE and vice versa. And it does not end in higher education. Also, you know, the soft thing, we're speaking about soft diplomacy, you know, the people's diplomacy. Next week, I think it's next week. Oh no, it's actually tomorrow. There's going to be a first-time exhibition, art exhibition in a contemporary art gallery in Dubai that will show Israeli art. I think that's amazing. And you know, we have a Passover coming soon, so the Jewish community in the UAE would be able to do the first open publicly Jewish Seder, the Passover Seder. So this is really, really, really amazing. I will just end this section of speaking about the agreements between Israel and the UAE, that people are really benefiting the peace with opportunities, and also, you know, it's boosting the two countries' economics. And the UAE just recently published its aim to invest $10 billion in the Israeli economics and trade. That's amazing. A lot of things are first. So it's really, really, you know, for us, it's a wonderful period of time. And by the way, you might ask, like, who's next? Who's Israeli speaking of? So I could tell you that there's still conversations that are being held, and we invite everyone who wants to be part of this table of peace and to enjoy the fruits of peace to this table. And it's important to understand that the peace, and I will say specifically about the Palestinian, is not excluding the Palestinians. It's not against anyone. The contrary, the peace, it's ridiculous even to say that, the peace is pro the people, not against, and it's not excluding, and we're inviting each one, each country, each people who want to join it. And I can tell you regarding the Palestinians, they were invited also by the UAE to join this peace. So we're still waiting. We will continue to make efforts to make it happen. I can tell you that, you know, Israel usually gets a lot of attention, sometimes criticism on this topic. Even, you know, one Europe that might criticize Israel a lot, we got a lot of positive reactions on the peace. Europe and China, and it's very important for us. I would say few more words on the other agreements. I will be honest saying that I will speak about them less, also considering our time and the magnitude of the relationship between Israel and the UAE, the fact that it was the first. So briefly, I would say that we also established formal relationship with Bahrain. The agreements also are moving very fast. we already have a representative there, but they do not have an embassy or an ambassador in Israel, but they did declared that they're going to have one. And for us, it's already a huge achievement, because I don't know how many of you know the public affairs and public external affairs ministry in Bahrain, but they only have like 30 embassies all over the world. So now having additional one with Israel is something, of course, that will be very proud of. We have peace processing of peace agreements with Sudan as well, and of course, as you know, the U.S. had a lot to contribute about that. And I assume that's, or I hope that many of you heard about Israel and Morocco. It's important for me to stress that Morocco is not part of what we call the Abraham Accords. It's part of the wave and the ripples of Abraham Accords, but it's not part of the Abraham Accords. We had relationship with Morocco even before. Then there were obstacles in the relationship. We had an embassy before that had to be shut down. So we call it like we're going back to normalization, but it's not only getting back to normalization, it's doing more. It's deepening the relationship and bringing more meaning to relationship. And when I say deepening, by the way, before that, even when we had relationship, we did not have a formal, full diplomatic relationship. So that's a positive change. I can tell you that our ambassador and office is already there. They're working, they're establishing working groups, and he has access to whatever an ambassador needs. Very welcoming. Everybody's very welcoming him. A lot of the relationship is going to be boosted by our own joint and mutual history and culture, and of course, tourism. There's many people that just cannot wait to go and visit Morocco. I would tell you that the tourism minister of Morocco said that she's expecting to have around 200,000 Israeli visitors a year. Would you imagine? What does this number do to the world? Not only to Israel and Morocco. You know, it's mind-blowing. I want to show you, because I mentioned that the piece is not new, like it's normalization and bringing back the ties. So I want to show you what it means. So again, excuse me. Okay. Okay, that was cool. I think I have another one of Morocco. No. Oh, no, that will be later. Okay, let's go back to you and me. Okay, great. So a little bit about, again, a few more things about happening lately between Israel and Morocco. So I told you we have our official there, David Govrin. They're creating, again, putting content into relationship. I can tell you there were very high level meetings with universities of Rabat to promote cooperation with universities in Israel. I could tell you that there were, in Israel, there is, in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, there is an office called Mashav, which is the, not exactly, but like your USAID, it's the branch which deals with international development and agencies. So they had a meeting with their counterparts to discuss what can be done on that regard. Some of the, like the Union of Industries in Israel have an MOU with its counterpart in Morocco and going to sign the MOU this week. There is a lot of conferences now that are starting, and Israel is going to be part of it. In agriculture, there is a big Israeli company named Netafim that started to work and trade in Morocco. So
Can I interrupt for a second?
yeah, I'm almost done, so that's a great timing.
Okay. But I have a class at 1 o'clock, and I'm one of the professors. I'm the Hillel advisor. So I didn't want to miss out on this. So if you don't mind, I only got 5 minutes.
No, thank you, of course.
Okay, so one of the things that last semester, Dr. Riyad Mansour, ambassador at the UN, spoke. I wasn't there, but he wrote up. And he basically said, and I need you to do this because I invited some of my students, because you spoke great about all the piece of the Abraham Accord, but on the other hand, people are hearing the lies, not the untruths, the partial truths from the Palestinians. And I think you have to address that to these students. Of course, many of them don't know the truth of what he said. He said it last semester. Okay, let me just tell you some of the things he said. Okay, he was reaffirming the Palestinian government's commitment to establishing peace with Israel. Okay, he's saying that, for example, he's against the fact that the General Assembly allowed the UN partition plan because he was against it, allowed for the creation of Israel. That wasn't true. Okay, he continues on that establishing Israel was a war crime. Okay, I think Palestinians in leadership have made historic compromise, but we do not see reciprocation from others. The Palestinians have made tremendous compromise. Israel's made more of a compromise. You've had told the Palestinians, so you invited them to peace, but we know that the Palestinians who haven't had elections in 15 years, right, have not really. He's supporting the two-state solution, but we see that they're still attacking Israel, etc. Right? And I think you have to try and explain that to our listeners who don't hear only their side, and right, and you have to also talk about that. Okay, he also has said he wants to end the occupation, grant Palestinians independence, and the right of the two slaves. He has stated that there's an occupation, right, of Israel, of the Palestinians. Palestine never existed, and that the Palestinians have existed on this land for 2,000 years. What about the Jews? The Jews have lived there for 3,000 years, and the Palestinians, Arabs, have not lived in this land for 2,000 years, right? The previous people were not these same people. Palestine never existed except after World War I. All untruths, all right? The Palestinian people will not vanish. We have been living in the land since the beginning of history. Not true. This is what he said. He claimed that many studies show that Israel's stealing an average of $10,000 million from the Palestinian economy annually. okay? On the other hand, they're also paying billions of dollars to people that have murdered Israelis, right? They're giving, right? So, and the last thing is, we do not want to live under the control of our occupying power. These are the lies, propaganda, as you know, and I just quoted some of them, and I was going to write a letter. But I think, despite what you said is fantastic, but I think, and you're fantastic, but I think you also have to, respond to the propaganda and the lies to our listeners, our students at Seton Hall, which is a very small Jewish population, but some wonderful students who are not Jewish, to counteract and make their own judgment about what Israel's doing and how Israel wants peace. And unfortunately, many of the Palestinian leadership doesn't want peace, right? And unfortunately, don't really want, many of them don't want a two-state solution, want a one-state solution where they want all of Israel, the land. Otherwise, there would have been peace a long time ago. And that's why other states. And I really would like you to try and, at some point in your discussion, talk about how Israel has been trying to help get the Palestinians, and the people want peace, but the leadership has, and we can't even talk about Hamas, whose goal is to destroy Israel. So I think you should try and address that as well, because that's a stumbling block to the peace in the region. You know, the Palestinian Authority, etc., has really been undermining, attacking, still sending bombs, still sending missiles, still sending incendiary balloons and kites, which would never be tolerated anywhere else. I hope you don't mind my doing this, but I have to say something for you to defend your country, or I will say defend our country. Do you mind? Do you mind that I say that I ask you to do this?
No, then thank you, Ira. Thank you for sharing with me, and I heard a lot about the lecture you had with Riyad Mansour. And first of all, I think you got a really good briefing that everything that I will say will be repeating what you said. But I do want to refer to two things which I would say could be understood from what you're saying. First of all, I think that when we thought about this lecture together, you could react as, okay, yeah, let's respond with a counter narrative, the real narrative, the Israeli narrative, and counter everything what Ambassador Mansour said. And I think we decided it's not a good idea. I'll tell you why. Because sometimes we could be so busy defending. I do not need to defend myself. Like, you will not go and defend the fact that US needs a country. I'm not going to defend Israel. I'm defending Israel not by reacting to what Ambassador Riyad Mansour said, but with demonstrating what Israel is really doing. And the Abraham Accord is what we're really doing. We're working for peace. Who would imagine? Do you think we would want peace with the UAE and not with the Palestinians? That's ridiculous. Of course, they are their closest neighbors. There's a lot of partnership, as you said, between the people of Israel and the people, the Palestinian people, regarding that. We're only waiting for their political will. I would also say that if we speak about the Abraham Accords, for many, 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 many years, why was it impossible to imagine peace between Israel and the UAE? Because the Palestinians held all of us, all of the region, as hostages, hostage to the conflict. And we understand, and the region understands now, that shouldn't be that. We cannot be, all the region cannot be frozen and not developed and not prosper because of that. And whoever wants peace, show it. I think we showed it. Thank you. I think I wouldn't use the word cut because I didn't think that I was cut. I love to have people speaking while I'm speaking and referring, but I was really about to end my presentation about Israel, and we spoke about Morocco. The last thing that I want to say before I will open up to more questions and reactions from you all is also bringing it here to the local. I get like messages that I was frozen. I hope you all hear me. Okay. The local discourse here in the US and in New York, and to what we're doing here. So as Sophia also mentioned before, we're doing a lot of engagements within our community here. And when I say community, the Israeli consulate is reaching out to all of the communities in our 5 states. The 5 states the consulate is covering is New York, New Jersey, Ohio, Delaware, and Pennsylvania. And I'm mentioning it now because for us, it's also important to demonstrate peace and the prosperity of peace and the Abraham Accords, not only, back to the people in Israel and back in the people in the UAE, but also here and all over the world. But I'm here, and we have a very good cooperation with our colleagues in the UAE, New York. Bahrain is a different topic because they do not have a consulate here. They have an embassy back in DC, and of course also with the consulate here in Morocco. And we are working for partnership and really showing also the American people, first of all, hey, look what you achieved. Okay, it's everyone's achievement, but as I said, the US administration in the past and the current one has a lot to do with it. But also to show people that it's possible, it's visible. And I could tell you that last, I think it was October, I think, we're already 1 year into the pandemic. October was a peak time in New York with the pandemic, and we were invited to a meeting, like after we requested, with our counterparts here in the UAE, and said, no, we cannot do it on Zoom. You have to come. That was the first time I was out of the office for a meeting face to face. Also by today, I think. And we got such a warm greeting. So many, not physically, but hugs. And they prepared us with kosher food and, rogalach. And it was really, really welcoming. And I will never forget this day. I will never forget this day. And imagine that I'm saying that, and I'm dealing with diplomacy, and I'm meeting, diplomats and people from all over the world. What is the person who just, suddenly have more opportunities? Both countries will think and say. And it's not only meetings. We're doing projects together, and we invited them. That was very moving, again, in the peak of the pandemic, to do it together physically, very socially distanced and limited people, but to light a Chanukiah, menorah, together on Hanukkah. And we're doing more. We're hoping to build some kind of a small peace garden here in the region to demonstrate peace. So it's really, it's a wonderful time. And I think it was a ray of light in this pandemic for us. So I think I could speak more, and I have a few more videos, but I think I would want to have some times to questions or remarks. And I know that there might be some students, I don't know if they're here or were here, but from the region. So to hear also how you think. I do not want to, like, I could give, I see Jasmine is raising her hand, but if Sarah or someone wants to take the questions and then decide, as I'm not so good in this system and I might miss someone, I'll be happy if you could do that.
Yes, of course. So Jasmine has her hand raised. Jasmine, if you can unmute yourself and give your question or remark.
Hello, thank you again for coming to speak here. My name is Jasmine DeLeon. I'm a freshman at the Seton Hall School of Diplomacy. So clearly this is like a victory for your country, and something that I remember is that President Trump said that this would serve as a foundation for like comprehensive peace throughout the region. And I was just wondering, from your perspective, what does I'm sure there's definitely many different ways that people are working toward peace, but what do you think is like the most impactful, the best next step toward gaining peace, especially with Palestinians?
Thank you, Jasmine, for your questions. I think that's all of the above, all what I mentioned. I don't think there is a recipe for peace. I don't think you take this, you blend, and then you have peace. It's a long process. And as much as it's, you get it from different ways, it's better if you get it top down, bottom up. And I think that in this 1 hour, I try to demonstrate how it goes, from both ways. And I'm sure that the feeling of peace is also slowly will emerge in those who do not have still peace with us. I can tell you, if we're speaking about Iran for a minute, they feel much more isolated now. If it will change what the leaders are doing, I assume one day, but it could take time. So we will still go and do the other, steps that I mentioned.
Thank you, Jasmine. And if anybody else has questions and would like to raise your hand or write in the chat, please feel free. I would just like to add that I think it's really wonderful, and you had a very graceful and wonderful answer in response to Professor Ira Jeskol's question and comment. I think it's really great to see that Israel is promoting peace throughout the region. And I think this is what this whole conversation was about, Middle East peace. And it's great to see these different steps that are being taken and the emotions of the people within these countries, because it is in the Middle East, and there are families within the Middle East that personally would love to see more peace negotiations happening for their own personal interests or for their businesses. And then on the government level, it's really great to see. I wanted to add a question as well in reference to the U.S. government. The U.S. and Israel have been very closely aligned allies in the past. What do you foresee now with the Biden administration in reference to this? I know previously President Trump had many things to say about Israel and working with the embassy and all these things. But I haven't heard that much, or it might just be my lack of research under the Biden administration. So you that do know about this, do you have anything that maybe can shed some light on the situation, or where we can see more about resources on this?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Sarah. And I said if I will say about this topic and the U.S. and the Abraham Accords, so the state of Israel is thankful for both Trump administration that had this agenda early stages of the administration, and it was, took some time until it really went out, but also to the Biden administration now that already, started 2 months ago, already had few comments and statements that they will continue to maintain and to work to promote this peace. Of course, we also need to remember that regardless to Biden or Trump, where America is now, and speaking about foreign affairs, and I guess you all heard, regardless to Israel, president's speech addressing the external affairs and placing himself in the ministry, I think that the most important external affairs that is concerning now the U.S. it's domestic affairs. What's happening with the pandemic, and so I assume regardless to administration would be taking care of the American people. But if we will speak about Israel and the Biden administration, I can tell you that the Israel-U.S. relationship did not started not with Biden and not with Trump, and for years for centuries there's very good cooperation and partnership and alliance between Israel and the U.S. no matter which party was in power. For us, Israel is a bipartisan issue. We see it regardless to the party. We have very good connections in Washington and all around. And we're very excited, and we wish good luck to the new administration. And I would say we're expecting to work with the new administration. We're already working with the new administration.
Wonderful. And we have another question or comment. This one is from Samantha. Samantha, if you could go ahead and unmute.
Hi, thank you so much for coming. I just have a quick question. So what is a MOU, and in response to the, or if it sounds like it is related to the Abrahamic Accords?
MOU, a Memorandum of Understanding, is an agreement. Let's say we want to have agreement to have a visa waiver, that Israel as citizens will not need a visa to the UAE and vice versa. So that is being articulated in a piece of paper which called a Memorandum of Understanding. So when I said we have an MOU on space, so there is a specific program on civil space program that I could go into the details, but it's not so interesting if you're not dealing with space. That the countries are working together to promote it. It's a commitment. Sometimes it's a commitment that also, it depends on the MOU, is backed by budget or people or transfer. So that's how it promotes peace.
Are the Abrahamic Accords, is that like an example of an MOU?
So the Abraham Accords is an umbrella agreement, like a name that has it's like the Abraham Accords is the generic name of the peace agreements. It was signed, but that only said, okay, we are having peace now. But then how you translate this peace are those MOUs. What do you do with this peace? It's not, and peace could stay only with, declaration we have peace, but making more meaningful and more, action items. Those are those MOUs that are translated to actions.
Okay, thank you. That helped me clarify my question.
Great.
If I could just add another question, thinking back about the conversation that we had with the Palestinian ambassador, the conversation was mostly about Palestinian relations with the Israeli government or the Israeli state. Speaking of the peace that Israel is looking to achieve within Israel and Palestine and all the other countries around, could you maybe speak in reference to the attempts to peace agreements within Israel, between Israel and Palestine, perhaps for students or listeners in the future, because this is being recorded, that may not know of the history that there has been ever since the establishment of Israel about the peace negotiations between the two?
Yeah, so that's lecture for 3 other hours, but very briefly I could tell you that the state of Israel created a lot of opportunities and tried to put some positive steps on the ground to create peace. Of course, I would say the most famous one, and that was really a path to peace were the Oslo Accords, and a lot of things which are now actually are basing the relationship are based upon the Oslo Accords. And after that, Yitzhak Rabin assassination and other developments with the West Bank and Gaza, peace was still trying to be conveyed. I think one of the most obvious, and no one can say otherwise, compromise that Israel did for getting peace, and at the end got the opposite way around, was the disengagement from the West Bank, from the Gaza Strip, I'm sorry. For those who do not know, in the past there were Israeli cities, villages in the area of the Gaza Strip, not Gaza City. And as a positive step to continue maintaining and promoting peace, Israel, and that was a very hard time and a crisis within the Israeli society, but we all understood that we should pay the price for peace for that, had to really take the people who live there and build life. If you like it, if you don't like it, that's a different political argument. Leave alone the political agenda of each person and what he thinks. If you think about a person and the children who live in a place, and then in a reason or so they were forced to move for a greater cause of peace, and at the end what we get is rockets and tunnels and fire and dead. So it's really hard to convince the people of Israel to get peace. And in the recent years, there were few official calls to come to the table and to discuss, because there is no other way. I don't know how to do peace without speaking, without making compromise. And Israel is pro the two-state solution, but we need the other side to come and speak with us about it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think having a background of the multiple compromises and steps to agreements in the past are important to highlight.
And there are much more. There are much more. This is, a long history. I just, gave you the two that are very, visible.
I think that's great to see, because as we've mentioned before, the social media and things that are promoted can be very misleading. So looking into the history is very important for both sides. I think Samantha raised her hand again.
What specifically is the two-state agreement?
There is no two-state agreement yet. There is a two-state idea, or two-state compromise, is to understand that the state of Israel will need to have some compromise and some of its parts to give away to the Palestinians and the other way around. And there is more. Like, it's not only about land and territory. It speaks about finding a solution for the capital, Jerusalem, how that will be. It's speaking about water. It's speaking about the right of return. There are a few factors that is negotiated to achieve peace, which when we'll get to an agreement on all of those different parts, we are assuming that it will look like, at the end, a solution of a two states, a state for the Israeli people and a state for the Palestinian people, which will be established from the Gaza Strip and the West Bank. I would also say to you that I know there is a lot of ignorance, and I'm not blaming anyone. You cannot be knowledgeable about anything. But when we speak about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and sometimes, in universities, people are speaking about apartheid, a lovely word that people could use without understanding the impact of what does it mean, apartheid. So some people speak about, the Arabs that do not get a right to vote, and so the Israeli Arab citizens in Israel are equally important and have the same rights as Israeli Jews or Israeli Christians or Israelis with non-religious affiliation. And sometimes people who do not know combine and twist and put the Israeli-Palestinian conflict within the Arab conflict. I would say that if somebody watched Saturday Night Live a few months back and show that there was a very bad joke about Israel vaccination program. So they say, yeah, of course, Israel vaccinated all of its Jewish citizens, making people believe that, emphasizing the Israeli-Palestinian conflicts beyond Israel and Palestinian, but not understanding that, no, in Israel there is also a minority of 20% Arab population that got equal rights, equal opportunities, and at the end got the vaccine with no discrimination. So that's a long comment to a question that I do not remember.
Thank you.
Amazing. So we have 5 minutes left for our event. Do we have any closing comments or things that you'd like to leave the audience and students with?
I think that for us, and I don't know exactly who are, and I know that many left. It's a lot of time, an hour and a half. I know who stayed with us, but we understand and believe that the people, the people who could really mobilize and change things, those are the students, those are the young people, and for us to give you this, time and to speak with you is important because, you speak with other circles and you are engaging with, other communities. Some of them do not know anything about Israel, so I'm happy that you'll have the opportunity to share more. And some just have a wrong idea about Israel. It's important to say that as well. And we're hoping to work more with you in the universities. Also, Israel has a lot. It's always, easy to ask, a speaker of Israel speaking about Middle East and peace and conflict, but there's so much more that Israel could offer apart from that. And I spoke a little bit about the vaccines. Israel is a lab now for the world. We could speak about technology, social impact, changes that Israel is trying to do and achieving for many people. So for you to remember that, of course, we're very proud of peace, and with that peace, we're trying to bring to other nations and friends what Israel could offer. And again, of course, thank you for Elizabeth and Sarah and Sophia that helped me to put everything together.
Thank you so much. We're really thankful for you to make the time to speak with us and to just give us some information about what the peace developments are with Israel in relation to other countries. So thank you so much.
Thank you for those who are celebrating Passover. Happy Passover, happy Easter anytime soon, and also Ramadan Kareem. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
And I will write, maybe, I don't know if Sophia did that, wrote her email, but you could contact anytime either Elizabeth or Sarah, and we'll be happy to answer more questions or, other engagements that you wish to. It's really our pleasure. And we will be with you in April, I think, again.